I am here. I'm so sorry. Give me just 2 seconds as I am scrambling. This can be brought back down if you need. I just needed my swimsuit out of it. I apologize. I forgot my swimsuit, and you can't go whitewater rafting without a swimsuit. And so I had to go have him get my car out of LA. I apologize. Getting some last minute things done this morning. Was just talking to Darren, but hey, so excited to be on this call this morning. I'm just walking over. I apologize. I'll try to stop walking, but the people that know me know that when I am passionate and fired up, I pace. And so hopefully that won't give anyone motion sickness this morning. But I've got some exciting stuff I want to talk about. It's been a very exciting last 7 months since I joined this company. Big things have been happening, and they've been happening for a long time. I don't think that it had anything to do with me coming over. I think that honestly, a lot of what's been happening has been happening for years. And it's just been this, a lot of people find success quickly, but they don't see the backstory. They don't see the amount of work that you guys have been putting in over the years to be able to set up this shift of momentum that we're going into right now. It takes time. It doesn't just happen overnight. And so in the ones where it does happen overnight are very quick little fireworks where they just flare up and pop and then they disappear. LifeVantage is here to stay. And so very excited to be on this call with you guys today. I want to talk about a few things. Obviously, I kind of want to end with what it is that I do at the corporate office, which is as the Director of New Leader Experience. I get to work with our amazing red carpet program and work in some field development with some of our great leaders. But I want to start before we get into that, and I want to talk a little bit about expectations. Because like I was telling Jill and Gabe as well, I think that if I go right into just telling you, what the red carpet is and explain this program to you, there's a lot of people on this call that are going to go, well, I don't know any, people that make 6 or 7 figures in network marketing. I don't know, how I would even talk to them or bring this to them, or what would I do? And so I think it's important that we go through those pieces first before, we set some expectations. And then I give you some fun ground rules as far as how you go out and impact and become a part of some of those people's lives. And so number 1 is expectations. I want to talk about expectations because I think that going forward for our profession to find long-term success, you guys as network marketing professionals are going to need to lower the expectation that is brought to the first-time network marketer. I think that, how exciting is it for someone to go Pro 1 if they're just getting involved and there's no expectation? But if they get involved in Pro 7 in like 60 days is on their mind, and they go Pro 2 or Pro 3, they feel like a failure. Don't set your new distributors up for failure. I think that it's okay to be excited, but a lot of people attach ulterior motives onto their new team members' goals. You want them to hit things kind of because you need them to hit things, not because you want to see them find success. And so I think the biggest thing that we need to do is we need to set some proper expectations and love on people. I think that, I remove expectations is what we really need to do. I was telling this to a lot of people yesterday. When it comes to your life, Tony Robbins once told me, one of the greatest quotes he ever told me was, if you can find a way to replace your expectations with appreciations, your entire life will change overnight. Find a way to replace your expectations with appreciations, and your entire life will change overnight. So I was blown away by that, and it took me a while. He said it's going to take a while. It's like working out. It's like flexing a muscle. It takes a while for you to tap into that and be able to embody it every single day. But once you do, it becomes a part of your life that is untouchable, and it is one of the most beautiful things ever. Because when people find expectation, when people have expectations, people are walking by, they're all excited, everyone's here this morning. But honestly, you guys, expectations are a killer for people's business. They just cripple. When you go into something with an ulterior motive, people sense that from a mile away. And so why not enter into it with pure appreciation? What we have is good enough. LifeVantage is a blessing. You don't need to sell it. It doesn't need to be sold. It just needs to be explained. It needs to be brought to people. It needs to be introduced to your world and to your network. That's all. Yes, no, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. More people will say yes than you think. But the reality is, like my father would always say, get to 100 no's.
100 no's will get you to success a lot faster than you think. And there's nothing wrong with a no. So all that to say is we got to set proper expectations. And then when it comes to red carpet leaders, when it comes to the top 1% of this profession, which I've spent my entire life surrounded by, that's all I've worked with, from production to network marketing on the corporate level to media to business advisory coach to all these different things. I've just got to work with these amazing people. And what I'll tell you is kind of what my secret sauce is, I guess you could say, for getting connected with a top industry leader. And so number one, what we want to do is realize that at LifeVantage, I get this statement a lot to me. I get people coming to me a lot going, hey, Taylor, I've got a friend over at so-and-so company making $1 million a year. They are so happy, but wait until they see what we have at LifeVantage. Now, while I'm excited that you're excited, what I'm going to tell you is at LifeVantage, we are not poachers. And in order for us to be successful as a company, we need lots of other companies to be successful too. I tell people all the time, if LifeVantage is the only company that wins, we lose. For our profession to continue to elevate, we need many other billion-dollar companies. We need lots of million-dollar happy earners at other companies. And that's okay. But what we want, what I want us to be, what my mission in the Red Carpet program and in my role is to be a lighthouse. I want to be a place of safe harbor for those that are incurring rough seas. I want to be a place of safety for those that are drowning out in water, that need a home, that need a place. That's what we want to be for them. And so what does that mean? That means that you might have a great leader, a great friend that's very powerful building somewhere. What do you do? I always tell people that when a top 1%er decides to go to work, decides to rebuild, decides to build a new business, when a top 1%er decides to rejoin a new company and they're looking to move, they don't tell anybody about it. They don't go post it on Facebook, hey, guess what? I'm looking to join something new. They don't. What they do is they have a very short list of people in their life. Because what I'll tell you is people like Gabe and Jill spend most of their life, 99% of it, giving. Very, very little of their life is spent getting. They have found an addiction and a calling when it comes to servant leadership. They give constantly. But how much of a blessing and how much do you think they remember when you guys as a team reach out and send them a gift? Send them a thank you. Send them something. When was the last time you guys sent Jill and Gabe some flowers and said, your mentorship truly matters to me. Thank you. I guarantee you that if you do, those things are remembered and cherished more than you could ever imagine. Because we don't do this for accolades, for gifts, but when people decide to reach out and bless our lives and bless, like Jill and Gabe, bless their lives, that stuff matters. And so when it comes to a top 1%er, say, let's do a hypothetical. And then I'm going to give you some real life examples of this. Hypothetically, you know someone that's making $400,000 a year at a network marketing company. Good income, and they're happy where they're at, but you think that they would be great over here. Well, what you would do is I would get on the phone with that person. I'd say, hey, I would never in a million years, we're friends, I would never in a million years try to recruit you. I see that you're crushing it where you're at. You're having an amazing time. I'm so proud of you for what you're doing. I'm starting my own business. I'm hoping that I'm going to find that equal success. It's going to be great. And I just want you to know that these products have truly had a defining moment in my life. And if you'd be okay with it, I'd just like to send you something for free. Just send you a gift. Give me your address. Send them a month's supply of Vitality Stack. That's what I would do. And some Axiom. And just say, it's a gift from me to you. I just wanted to bless you. And I hope these products bring value to your life. That right there puts you on a really short list. Going to those people and saying, hey, let's go comp plan to comp plan. Or, hey, have you seen the ABC Primetime video? That gets you put on a do not call list. And I don't want to see anyone get put on that do not call list ever. That's not what I want to see. Look at this giant bus coming in to pick up all these people. Oh, man, it's going to be fun. But I'll tell you what, guys, honestly, it really makes a difference when you just choose to love on these people. And I say it all the time, but this is called network marketing for a reason. We are networking. We're building relationships with people. Our job is to love on people and to connect and to build with them. And so when you find a great 6-7 figure earner, top 1%er that you want to build with, work to become a friend to them, be an asset, be a giver to them. And then when the time comes, when it's appropriate, they will make it aware to you that they're looking, and I guarantee you, you will be on that short list. And I'll give you a real life example now. So here's a real life example. 4 months ago, there was a pro, I think she was just a pro 2, pro 3, up in Canada. And she had a friend that was making $30,000 a month at a different company. Name was Jen. So Jen was making $30,000 a month at a different company, crushing it, having the time of her life. But this pro 3 said, you know what, I'm just going to choose. She reached out to me. I told her exactly how, step by step, this exact same thing. She just chose to love on her. She just chose to bless her with some products because she knew that Jen had 11 Alaskan Malamutes. She raised dog sledding dogs. And so she said, you know what, I got to get you some Pro Tandem for your dogs. This product is amazing for animals. I know how much you love your dogs. They're like your kids. I would never ask you to join my business, but this product is serious. It'll make a difference in their lives. And Jen, being the amazing dog mother that she is, said, of course, send it over. And if it works, we'd love to use it. They use it. The dogs have an amazing experience. They start taking it themselves, Jennifer and Edmund do. And unbeknownst to this little Pro 3, 4 or 5 months later, the check went from $30,000 a month to $3,000 a month. And this Jen was looking. No one knew. You could go to Jen's Facebook and you wouldn't be able to see one thing that showed that Jen was looking for a new opportunity. But when she went to look, who do you think she called? She reached out to that Pro 3 that just was a friend, that had no ulterior motive. She was getting pitched by every person in the world. But she went to that person that just loved her and gave her a product that truly blessed her life and didn't push her and wasn't intimidating, wasn't, pitchy. That, all of a sudden, now this Pro 3 has a rock star red carpet leader underneath her that's blowing out her organization. Great things are happening. So I say that it really matters. Relationships matter in this business. The top 1% have gotten to the top 1% because they have chosen to just love. They have become addicted to giving. So in all senses of those words, you guys need to find a way to become equally addicted. You guys need to find a way to tap into that. Truly be able to find a way to become an asset in their world. Whatever company it is that they're with, go follow a couple Facebook pages, say they're with an ML, like Isogenics or something like that. Go follow some meal prep or some supplement or some weight loss stuff like that. And then on Facebook, and then when you see something interesting, a cool article, you go send it to them and say, hey, do you see this? I just saw this. It totally made me think of you. Really fascinating information about their kind of associates with what you're doing. How cool is that? They would get that and be like, wow, if they haven't read it yet, they'd be like, thank you. This is a really great read. I really appreciate this. So all that to say, you guys, is there's a lot of ways that you can just choose to love on these people. A lot. And I would invite you to find ways without talking about your opportunity. Find ways to give samples. Find ways to do all those things. But next, going into red carpet. Once you have someone, you're talking to them and they're saying, hey, all right, I want to know more about LifeVantage. I want to know more about what you guys are up to. Then we've got a really amazing program here at LifeVantage. And so the red carpet program is truly designed to get those 1%ers started here on the right foot. A lot of the time, I just want to explain, the red carpet is basically a bridge program. So a lot of the time, a 6- and 7-figure earner, when they're building, if something goes wrong in the company that they don't align with, that they're looking to make a move, it's really hard for them to walk away sometimes from a $10,000 to $50,000 a month check if they're starting from scratch. So what we have created for those specific individuals is this red carpet program that basically says we will look to create a 6-month contractual agreement with the top 1% to basically help them get started here at LifeVantage. And so mostly I'll give you our standard agreement. Our standard agreement, good morning. Our standard agreement is a $10,000 a month agreement, and it basically is predicated saying that LifeVantage will pay $10,000 a month for 6 months based on volume requirements that you bring in. That's important to say very quickly up front. We do not do any upfront money here at LifeVantage. A lot of people and other companies do that. I don't find any value in it. I never really have. And so it's important to understand that we don't do any upfront money, but we will incentivize if volume is brought in. And so that's important to know, because a lot of people, I've just never really seen upfront money work. It's been tried. It just normally does not play out. So all that to say is just to give you a quick little formulation. The way that we usually run this is based on $1 to 1.5 points of volume. So I'll just run you through a very standard scenario. We've got a 6-figure earner making $10,000 a month, wants to come over, but they're going to need that in order to justify, leaving their check behind. So what we'll say is, okay, if you need $10,000 a month, in month 1, you'll be required to bring in 15,000 points of volume, $1 to 1.5. From there, you'll bring in 30,000 in your second month, 45 in your third, 60, 75, 90 in your sixth. So between 90 and 100,000 in volume, you're ending with by your 6th month, and you're, just at Pro 7 making $10,000 to $12,000 a month off the compensation plan, and you work your way up. We also have $5,000 agreements, and I have $50,000 agreements out there, depending on what the leader needs and what they're looking for and the type of business that they can build. That's the biggest thing that I tell these leaders. We have a ton of red carpet leaders that aren't on a contract at all, that just came in and they didn't see the value in their mind of being under a 6-month contractual agreement. They saved their money. They were okay with money. They didn't need it. They just wanted to build. There's a lot of people that come in that world, and that doesn't discredit them if they don't want the business development agreement. That doesn't stop them from being a red carpet leader. Those are some of my favorite people to work with. Nothing against the ones that need the BDAs, but honestly, if you're making 6-7 figures, my hope is that it makes me happy when I find out that those people are smart with their money and had some saved away for this kind of situation. But ultimately, once that is decided, we do an introduction call where we really kind of get to sit down, and the leader will bring them with me, and we get to just kind of introduce ourselves to each other. I do a little bit of a vetting interview, I guess, ask some of the hard questions that most of the time you guys as leaders don't feel comfortable asking, especially if you're a new distributor. It's not comfortable asking, tell me what you made in the last 3 months specifically. It's not comfortable, asking all these questions about, business and what's going on with your organization and why is your check dropping and, all these things. Those are questions that I can ask in a very non-confrontational way, in a very loving way, but in a very informative way to say we need to see the whole picture because we want you to come here and we want you to crush it, but we need to know everything first. So we do background checks. We check 1099s and income verification and stuff like that. Once all that's done and taken care of, then we fly them out to the corporate office. And it's a really fun experience where we get to fly them out, put them up in the hotel right next to the office. We have a nice limo, pick them up and all this stuff. It's all taken care of by us. And it really is a red carpet experience. It's fun. We get to bring them in. We get to give them products and swag, and we get to show them, tour them around the office, and they get to sit down with the entire C-suite, from Darren Jensen to Justin Rose to Ryan Goodwin, to all the others, and then Dr. Natalie Chereau, and they really get a full, in-depth experience of what's going on at LifeVantage from behind the scenes, and then be able to kind of make their decision where we basically at that point sit down and look at their business and what they'd like to do going forward. And so the second half of that day is mostly strategic, organizational planning. But all that to say is the red carpet program is really exciting. And I tell people all the time, let me help you close some people. If you've got someone on the line and you're uncomfortable talking to them, you don't know the right things to say, but they're asking you about LifeVantage, I would invite all of you. My email is very simple. It's tworre@lifevantage.com. I invite you to shoot me an email if you've got any prospects. I ask that you respect that email, but at the same time, I want it to be used. I want you guys, if you got people to talk to, don't be the person that says, "Oh, I had a great person, but I was just too nervous to give you a call." Don't be that person. Reach out to me. It is my greatest joy. It is my greatest honor being at LifeVantage the last 7 months. You guys, we are literally entering into momentum. It is so much fun. Like the swell is just coming up. Like Justin Rose was saying last night, like we are just, I mean, the stock is a great indicator. Go just to Google for fun this morning and go type in LifeVantage stock and look at the last 6 months or the last year. You see what kind of things are happening within this organization, and it's because of you guys. It's because you put in the work. You guys are re-engaging. A lot of you guys have been in for a long time and are just starting to feel this fire again, starting to kind of kick back up into gear, starting to get your dancing shoes on again, and it's awesome. It's awesome because I tell people every day this momentum shift is happening with or without you. I sure want it to happen with you, so make sure that you get on board with us. And truly, it's going to be a fun second half of 2018. Going into 2019, some big things happening. I mean, Ireland, I would tell everyone on this call, make it a mission to get to Ireland. Let's make this a huge, awesome incentive trip. I tell people all the time, red carpet isn't duplicatable. So make sure that you're only putting out about 5% of your energy total towards red carpet. Just because this is exciting and this is fun and could be a big break, don't let yourself get trapped in the I'm going to only go after the whales mentality, because that is not duplicatable. But what is you building an amazing organization and attracting the right kind of leaders. And one thing I want to tell you guys about red carpet leaders, if you want to attract a red carpet leader, how do you get to know them? I'll tell you, there's a couple ways. Number one, the DSA.com. You can go to the Direct Selling Association and you can type in top 100 network marketers. They have got amazing lists up there, and they will show you statistically in our profession who is making the most money and what company they're with. You can go look up those people, and then you can go find them on Facebook. You can go at them. You can go, start looking at their stuff, following their stuff. But my biggest recommendation, my biggest suggestion is if you want to be a red carpet leader, if that's who you want to be, then you need to be around them. Where are they? They are at every generic network marketing event that we have as a profession. And so I would invite you guys. I think it is paramount. I think so many people, and it's not a bad thing. It just happens. But they get in the company snow globe, where you guys could tell me everything there is to know about most of the top distributors here at LifeVantage. But if I asked you one question about Nerium, or one question about Isogenics, or one question about Melaleuca, you'd say, what? Who are they? What? Who? What? It's important to know what's going on in our profession. Good morning. It's important to know what is happening. And so the only way that you can know that is by connecting with those people, by getting to generic events like my father's GoPro Recruiting Mastery in December, an amazing event to be at. I would invite you guys to do that. I think that it's wildly impactful. I think the amount of value that's brought in that event is insane. He came and spoke at LifeVantage a few years ago. I'm sure a few of you saw him. And he has just been getting sharper. But then there's the Association of Network Marketing Professionals. I spoke at that event this year in May, last May, and there's over 60 speakers. It's like the TED Talks of network marketing. Everyone only gets 15 minutes. You go up there, you blow out what you can with a quick message, and then you move on. But I tell you guys that there's over 50 6- and 7-figure earners that are speaking on that stage, just sitting in that audience all week long. You can go up and just hang with them and ask them their experience and ask them their stories, connect with them on Facebook, build relationships. And that's where it starts. That's what it takes. It doesn't just happen with a Facebook message of, hey, really love your stuff, hope you're doing great. You got to be where they are, because they want to see that you're equally involved and engaged in personal development as well. The law of association is one of the most real laws on this planet. You become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. And so, honestly, these leaders are going to want to see that you are choosing to engage in that law, that you are wanting to make sure that your circle is as high and as tight as it could possibly be. And so I am so excited for each and every one of you going forward, because I truly think that what is happening here at LifeVantage is it's rarefied air. We're entering into rarefied air. To be an 8-year-old company that is basically at a state of infancy with the structure and solidity of 8 years. I mean, it's like breathtaking. It's so exciting, because this next 6 months, I say this a lot, people are having defining moments either today, within this next 6 months, in those defining moments, a decade from now, You guys will be walking across the stage as Pro 10s and talking about how in the summer of 2018, some crazy guy up in Park City screamed on a Zoom for long enough until I got fired up. And then, you know what? I went out there and I just decided to go for it. And that was my moment. And now because of that, I put my fears aside. I tell people all the time, fears are strictly a misunderstanding of the unknown. That's all they are. I'm going to say that again. Fear is strictly a misunderstanding of the unknown. How afraid were you to drive when you first got in your car at 15 or 16 years old? How afraid was that first on-ramp getting on the highway? It's a little scary. Now, 20, 30 years later, we got an Egg McMuffin in one hand. We're doing a Zoom on the other hand. We're driving with our knee, and our kids are in the back seat. We're feeding them chicken nuggets from the front. I mean, we're pros now. It's not a fear for us anymore. But it was. And so all I tell you is a fear is simply the misunderstanding of the unknown. Your fear of going out and talking to everybody about this opportunity is simply a misunderstanding. You're attaching an ulterior motive to it. You're attaching an expectation to it. When you attach expectations to your prospects, you're going to lose. But when you realize that this game is really fun, that's like, I call it the good movie analogy. If every one of you went out today and saw the best movie that you've seen in the last 5 years, for me, it was The Greatest Showman. When I saw that movie, I talked to everybody. When I talked to everybody when I saw The Greatest Showman. But I'll tell you what, the next day, yeah, it was that. How many people would you go talk to if you saw the greatest movie you've ever seen? And would you care if they went and saw it? No, you wouldn't care if they went and saw it, but you'd share it with everyone. Treat LifeVantage like a really good movie. Marry the process, divorce the result, and decide to go to work and decide that your life's mission is strictly to share this opportunity with as many people as you possibly can. Yes, no, or indifferent. It does not matter. What matters is that they understand the opportunity. And so what I'm telling you guys is that there's so much excitement happening right now, but remove those expectations. Watch your business explode by literally disassociating with expectations, getting rid of them when you're talking to people, and just go out and share this message with the world. Not in a, hey, you need to have this, but hey, my life is amazing because of this. If you want to take a look at it, let me know. I'd love to show you. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be more complicated. It doesn't need to be more stressful or more fearful. Just let it be fun. Let this business be fun because it's so much fun. It's so amazing. We get so blessed. And a lot of people get caught up in fear. They get caught up in anxiety and stress. Just because this is fun doesn't mean it's not hard. This business is hard. It's hard work. It's not free. It doesn't come. This isn't get rich quick scheme school. This isn't the 90s anymore. We are literally in an era of people can create real leveraged wealth for the rest of their life. Legacy wealth that can be inherited by their children. Your children can bless this planet by the work and the effort that you put in over the next 5 to 10 years. Amazing things can happen if you decide to just divorce your fear. And so I am so excited for everyone on this call. Like I said, if you ever have anyone that you want me to reach out to and talk to, please reach out to me and let me know. I am always here. I am always an asset. I'm your biggest fan. I want to see you guys all win so badly. And so let me know how I can help you win. And thank you for letting me come on today. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your event. It's going to be so much fun. And you got some powerful, powerhouse speakers coming up. So with that, I'm going to end just a few minutes early so I can get on this bus and get to this whitewater rafting. But Jill, thank you so much for having me on this call. Thank you everyone for taking time out of your morning to be on. I know it's early for some people, especially if you're over in California, but hey, I hope it brought some value to you this morning, and I hope that you guys have an amazing, incredible rest of your weekend. We'll be seeing you soon for sure in Mexico. For some of you, will be convention in October, but be blessed, and I can't wait to talk to you guys again soon.
Love it. Thank you. Have a great day, Taylor. Take care.
Will do. See ya.
Bye-bye. Well, with that, I literally have 7 pages of notes. And what I did and what I thought was so fascinating is that I circled all these keywords that moving forward, as you're prospecting, as you're connecting with all these stars aligned here at LifeVantage, with all the work over the last 8 or 9 years, all for you. This was fascinating. That actually encapsulates the last 30 minutes of his discussion. These are keywords. If you're taking notes or in the replay, keep these in mind as you're connecting. Servant leadership. These are all words I circled. Bless you, value, asset, giving. This is all what you should be giving to other people as you're prospecting. Gift and experience. Tap in. Find ways not to throw down or sell. This is not about you. Association, associating yourself with like-minded folks, with those top 1%ers. Now he's going into the end of his presentation. Now, I love this. Rarefied air. Is that a classic? Rarefied air. Do you think he made that word up? But I love it. I'm using that from this day forward. And a lot, of this. Fun. Sometimes I get super serious, but this business is fun, and that's a great reminder. What a gift to have Taylor on this morning. This program is for each and every one of us on this phone. And plus, we got extra nuggets about how to connect. Again, this business is all about connection and finding everybody's wants, needs, and desires. And with that, I have our next speaker up on deck. He is so gracious. He has a family gathering this weekend and has decided to take, and share, again, give us his time during the special time with his family. I've known this gentleman probably, 7, 8 years. And I'll give you a little upfront story. We were building, and we didn't have a lot of resources. My mother-in-law said, never say you don't have, but the budget was super tight. And this group out of Mississippi wanted us to fly in and help build the organization. And Gabe said, well, when you get 20 distributors in your organization, I'll fly up there, right? And but the main reason he said that is because we didn't have the budget to fly up there. And like the next week, they had 20 distributors in the system. And we waited till the 15th till we got our residual income check. And we booked our flight, and he flew up there. And we met the most amazing people in our entire life. That entire team. And this gentleman was a real estate developer. He's also a family therapist specializing in childhood, adolescent, and marriage counseling. But more importantly, and most of all, he's become a dear friend of ours, a mentor, and one of the top industry leaders. Let me introduce to you Pro 8, Fred Davis. Fred, are you on the line? I think he, Fred, are you there? Fred this morning is going to share our opportunity meeting, but I may have to do it for you. Maybe he's coming in a few minutes late. All right, with that fine introduction there, it's like anticlimactic, isn't it? Well, for all the guests on the line, you heard a little bit about the beginning of our story. And so if you are hearing this for the first time and you're hearing about, you see that, and you feel Taylor Worre's passion for what we do, it comes from an amazing spot. And our journey, if you're a guest on the line today, I'll quickly encapsulate this opportunity in just a high level overview. In about 20 minutes, I'll share just a vision of this business model, and it's a solid business model. And if you heard from what I shared about Fred, our journey started a little bit before that story with Fred. And I was literally on my knees praying in my closet. We had a wellness company where we had 18 employees. And in 30 days, in a matter of 30 days, we lost 3 six-figure contracts. I had kids in private school. I lived in a beautiful home in a country club. And I was being crushed by that 2009 recession. I went into my closet and I got on my knees, which I can't even remember if I've ever done that before. A few weeks later, we go up to Atlanta, Georgia to retool. We didn't lay down. We were still grinding it out. And a complete stranger comes up to my husband, Gabe, and shares the ABC Primetime Investigative Report. We come home, and all I do is I can smell network marketing. A few days later, he makes me go out to this Panera Bread all the way across town. I don't want to go. I don't want to watch that video. I don't want to be a part of a network marketing company. And on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, a vision was laid out for us. Fred, are you on the line now? I saw you pop in. Fred?
Yes, I'm here.
You want to go ahead and take over? So what I said was on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, a vision was laid out about this opportunity, which is a perfect segue for you and to share the vision of what we do on a daily basis, on how we impact lives, or how you have an opportunity to impact lives every single day.
All right, now, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Great. I'm looking at this deal, and you put Taylor Worre on, put me on. It's sort of like,
I love you.
if this guy can do it, then anybody can. I think you got the best there with Taylor. I've spoken with him only a few times, and I can't believe he has that kind of competence at his age. If I was at his age, I'd be on an island somewhere, I think, right now. All right, if you can hear me, let me tell you my excitement about this. I apologize for the timing, but I was told I was to be on at 9:45, and I'm actually in the back seat of my car in the driveway of my family's house out of town family. So what I want you to know is that everybody hits this at a different time in their life. And I had an advantage in that I hit it at a time when I needed it. And therefore, the question I'm going to ask you was not really a big question for me, because I think some of you may know I was a real estate developer, and as exciting and glamorous and lucrative as that can be, real estate development operates on a cycle. And unfortunately, I didn't see the cycle coming in 08. So in 08, our income went away. So when I looked at this in 11, I was motivated. But what I want to say to some of you maybe who are looking at this, and you're hearing us give you answers and solutions, and you see people like Taylor talking about an industry, you might be thinking, I don't even know that I have a problem. Why would I need a solution? So I want to give you a quick way to determine whether or not you really need to pay attention. If you're rocking along fine and doing well, you need to assess how you're getting your income. You got into this career, whatever you do, you entered the workforce maybe in your 20s, I don't know. Some of us before, some of us a little after. And the plan was to work, what, forever till you die? No. The plan plan was, and I don't know exactly what yours was, but it was probably to work, a while, save, do well, invest, and retire. And I don't know, some people thought they were going to work 40 years, some people thought 35. I don't think many people in their 20s starting out plan to work 50 or more. But in fact, what you need to do today is assess wherever you are on that road from where you started to where you wanted to end up. I think you wanted to end up with the ability to pull back, relax, smell the roses, maybe keep working if you like what you're doing, but you did not want to have to look at your checkbook before you wrote a check. You did not want to look at your balance before you spent money. We all started into this workforce thinking that we would be able to pull back. And what I want to tell you is that the game rules have changed. There are no pensions for the most part. People are continuing to work. And if your income comes from your activity, then if your activity goes away, does your income go away? And so what we the excitement about this is that we looked at the same ABC that Jill mentioned, and I remember thinking, if that's true, then I need the product. I was 65 years old, had certain ailments, but then the second thing I said was, how many people know about it, and can you make money? Because I'm going to buy it, and if I'm going to buy it after 9 minutes of a video, other people are going to do that, and someone's going to get rich. Now, I will tell you that as a real estate developer in 2011, I was still reeling from the recession. In fact, I was still in it. And this has saved us. What Becky and I did is simple. Our story is, once we verified that it was true, Becky's an RN, so she was able to do that quicker than I was. We started telling people. We bought a 30-day supply. They did. Everybody got a refill every month. And here we are 80-something months later, and we're still being paid for the refills that have come all those 80-something months. And so next week, or whenever the 15th is, we already know what our check is. The company gives you a back office, and you can go in to this month on the 2nd of the month. It's not usually that early. We were able to go in and see what our check is going to be on the 15th. And let me tell you, without giving you real numbers, back home the term would be, it's enough to choke a goat. Any of you understand? I know people in Georgia understand that. Okay? So what we've got is an income that's not activity-based, but it's asset-based. And the asset in this situation is the product user. This company revenue comes about 80% from just product users. People who are not involved in the business, people who have no chance or interest in doing the business are getting a check. So that's my stability. And so we have that. So here we are, a little over 7 years later. We are not only in better health. You can't tell that maybe if you're just looking at me for the first time, but if you have known me for years, if you see me and you haven't seen me for a few years, your first comment is, I thought you were sick. You look healthy. What are you doing? And so we're not only in better health, but we have a retirement in place that is asset-based, that pays us like clockwork. And it's the kind of retirement that you need. Everything in our house is paid for with this deposit that comes in, the house, the cars, the vacations, the stuff we do for the grandchildren. And that's not the only part that we love. We have our time, too. We're able to go, and when you have 9 grandchildren, you have a lot of stuff to do. You have recitals, you have t-ball games, you have softball, we have a lot to do that has nothing to do with creating an income. So we have our time, and we have everything paid for. And my hope for you is that you'll listen to this, decide whether or not your security, if you have security, and many of you do, is your security based on your activity? If it is, then that's a red flag, because you're not going to feel like or want to kill yourself working when you're my age. Okay, so let me tell you that we want to pass along this information, but we want you to be receptive. You only are receptive to a solution if you acknowledge that there's a problem. And the problem is, for most of us, that the retirement that we thought would be in place may not be there. So let me tell you that if it's not, and you don't do something about it, if you don't change something, nothing will change. Now, they mentioned to you that I'm a family therapist, and that's the first thing we understand in family therapy is we're not always sure what to tell people to do, but we can be sure when we tell them if you don't do something different, you're not going to get anything different. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of this as a plan B. And, you know, we're talking about retirement. Now, that may not be important. I'm sure Taylor Worre is not thinking about retirement. He's 11 or 12. How old is he? But he's in his 20s. So I wouldn't be talking to him maybe about retirement, but I'll talk to you in general about it. If you set aside $1 million, and that's kind of the goal when we start off when we're kids, if we want to have $1 million. Guys, the rules have changed. $1 million right now in a secure investment, a CD is the term they use for bank assets, is $30,000. You get $30,000 roughly a year on $1 million. And I know you well enough to know you can't live on that. So I want to challenge you in looking at our plan B. Ask yourself, is there any way in the next 12 months that you're going to be able to set aside $1 million so that you can get $30,000 a year off of it? And if there is a way, you know, you could save it. I do the math. To save $1 million, you're going to have to save $83,000 a month. Isn't that right? 12 times 83 is. Anyway, if you can save $83,000 a month, then you don't need to be talking about our business. The other way to do it is to work 10 years and save only $8,300 a month. You get my point. You have got to have assets, and what we've got here is a way to build assets. You'll hear us talk about the different levels of activity in our company. You'll hear people talk about Gabe and Jill being at a level 10. Well, there are levels of activity based on levels of volume of our company's products. And there is a mark in this company where you're making about $30,000 a year. It's very attainable. People do it all the time in a year. But even if it took you 2 or 3 years to amass a $30,000 a year extra income, you would have done the same thing. You would have accomplished the same thing as someone who is able to save $1 million. And yet your odds are you can't save $1 million in the next few years. We have some people in Georgia. I keep talking about Georgia. I don't know these people well, but all of a sudden they did not know it should take you a year or two to get to that $30,000 a year level. And they did it in months. And we'll talk some more about that. So what I want to think about is this a way for me to create an asset that will support me? Now, if you're younger, think of it as a travel fund. If you are at that point where your kids are going to be going to college, think of it as an education fund. But I want to tell you that once you decide you're going to do this, you need to know whether or not this is the right vehicle to use. The LifeVantage is interesting to me. In old, it's new. It's old. The products have been 15 years. The humans, all mammals, without any adverse reactions. Now, that's important to me because safety is important to everyone. So we are talking about an old company since 2003, and yet the opportunity that we're in, the network marketing model, has been used only since 2000, late 2009 and 2010. So that's relatively new, which is good. People don't know about this. We've done surveys before, and if you go into any area and ask people, less than 2% know about it, and less than 1% really have any information. So this is very stable. When you talk about stability, that's usually not very exciting. But what you need for an opportunity is stability, boring stability, but you need excitement. So let me talk a minute about those two areas. Here's the boring part. It's stable. The products are natural. They're effective. They're affordable. Blah, blah, blah. That's boring, but it's essential if you're going to be around, if you're going to count on this income for generations. I'll tell you, though, the generational part is interesting. I tell people, Gabe asked me to be sure and mention this again. We got into this, and about the third month, one of our kids called. He's a lawyer, okay? That happened. It was, he called me in his second or third year college, and he said, Dad, I'm going to be an attorney. And I thought it was the beginning of a lawyer joke because he had grown up with us telling lawyer jokes. So the flip side of that is we have a lawyer in the family, and I think every family has something they deal with. We have a lawyer. So this lawyer calls him. He's a young lawyer, okay? He says, have you read the policies and procedures for this company? And anybody who knows me knows I haven't read them yet. And he said, well, this is an asset you have. I said, well, I knew that. I mean, it throws off money. That's sort of the definition of an asset. No, Dad. This is an asset that is inheritable. You see where he was going with it. He then said, so how are we doing? And I told Brad, I said, I'm taking this pill, so I'm not dying anytime soon. But it is exciting. Becky and I sat down this week doing a little estate planning. And if our check stayed where it is, which it will not, the trouble is it jumps. and when we found out what our check's going to be next week on the 15th, it's more than the one last month. So, but when we did that planning, our kids are going to have a residual income that we left. It's a legacy. And so that stable, boring stuff that I'm talking about, which is a company that's public, it's a company that's been around since '03, all of that boring stuff is what makes the income so exciting. This is not here today, gone tomorrow. So let's talk a little bit about the exciting stuff, though. It's exciting that you look younger. I don't care who you are. You don't want to look older. And here I am 7 years later, and as bad as I look better than I did. Does that make sense? So here's the exciting part. When you're involved with us, you're going to look better and feel better. Now, we cannot make health claims. We can't say that it cures, treats, or mitigates. That does not believe. That doesn't mean that we don't believe that. Nowhere does it say we cannot believe that it cures, treats, and mitigates. You see the distinction. If we did not think that it was doing great things for us, we wouldn't be so passionate about never missing it. So the exciting part is that you create something. We get to travel now. And when we book a flight somewhere, we don't necessarily care what it costs. When we book a flight, we don't have to ask if we can be off work. We don't have to get someone to cover for us. And the exciting part is that we actually are free. Are we having any trouble with the audio or the visual? Can someone give me a thumbs up? I don't see you, Jill, and I'm not sure. Okay, are we doing okay? All right. How are we doing on time, Jill?
We're good. We're good.
All right. So what we have is Taylor was the expert on the industry, but I want to reiterate what I love about the industry. I was in the real estate industry, and you know that I mentioned it's a cycle. Well, that's great, except we don't eat on a cycle. We like to eat every year, every day. And so when we were looking for something to replace this real estate income, we wanted to look at it industry first and then a company. And the industry we found is health and wellness. Now, health and wellness is not only stable, it is trending. Now, trend is movement and one direction over time. Now, as you found out, a trend can be in either direction, okay? Health and wellness is in one direction, up. Never had a down year, and that's important. So whatever you create today will be there tomorrow. Now, also, it's the largest, not just large, it's the largest of the industries within our economy. I think the number was around $3 trillion was spent in health and wellness in this country alone last year within it. And most of you know the treatment, research, and prevention are the three areas of healthcare. Treatment is obviously the biggest. That's where most of the money is spent. Research is there. We are actually, I think, more in prevention than in treatment. But you can make an argument for either. But the exciting part for me is that the fastest growing of the three segments of healthcare is prevention. What do people want? They want natural. They don't want prescriptions. They don't want side effects. So there is a trend toward natural. That's the second trend that this industry has. The other thing is the pension. That's gone away. But maybe when you entered the workforce, you thought that you would have a pension, a retirement. Well, that's changed, and the numbers are clear. Unless you're working for the government, you probably don't have a really good pension. And if you're working, you're going to get a pension, but it's going to be less money than you got while you're working. And how many of us are going to live well retired if we have less money than we have while we're working? There's a myth that you need to know. It is a myth. The myth that when you retire, you need less money, that's stupid. Of course you need more money. You have more time. You have more dreams. You have a bucket list. And everything on your bucket list is expensive. This company sends us everywhere. We've been to Hawaii a couple of times. We've been, on cruises and all those things. But the good news is I told somebody the other day that we're going to go to Italy for 2.5 weeks in late September. And they said, "Oh, did you win a trip with the company?" And I said, "No, we're just going to Italy." That's exciting that we can do that. It's exciting that that's paid for. Yes, it's a company trip in the sense that everything we do is paid for by this company. And we appreciate that. So here's my excitement. And here's what I want to tell you about this opportunity. The things that are important to people are having the time to enjoy life, the health to enjoy life, and the funds to enjoy it. And then those of us who worry about the future, worry about, do I have enough disability insurance? Do I have enough life insurance? Guess what? Our LifeVantage income is all of that. If something happens, if I'm mysteriously injured, on a putting green somewhere, a lot of putting green accidents I hear. But if something happens to me and I can't, talk to you on a Saturday, my income keeps going and maybe even is bigger. That's a disability policy in a sense. If something happens to me that I don't make it home, the proverbial truck hits me, whatever, Becky's income next month is stable. In fact, maybe even more. That gives me a lot of comfort. What we have is security in every area. Security now, security later, and the ability to leave a legacy for our kids. This is a great idea. Getting involved in something that people want and need, and that you'll be well paid for, not just the week or month that you work, but every week and month later that you don't work. I'm going to pass it back to you, Jill. And again, I'm sorry for the timing problem.
No, I'm thrilled that you're on the line today. Thank you for taking the time, even though you're with your family. But that's also the beauty of this business, that we can connect like this in different states, different countries around the globe. We have people from all over the globe on. We have Italy, Alex in Italy. We have folks from Germany. Give me a shout out if you're anywhere else around the globe. But that's what makes this so beautiful. And I'd like to recap before you get off the line, Fred. And just, he is so, Fred, you are just so leveling for me and stable, and you ground me. And I love your voice. And I'm just so honored to work with you. A few key points I want to just re-emphasize that you went over, and maybe if you see I left a gap or you'd like to reiterate a little bit, that this is all stable. Everything about this business model is stable. Whether it's the model itself, whether it's the product, the way we get that product, anything about this opportunity, it's stable, it's secure. And then as you broke it down, you talked about leveraged income. And I love this because we're not taught this in traditional school, I don't think, about this leveraged income business. And what I teach my kids today is whatever you do, you don't have to do what I do, but figure out when you come out of the gates, do something that's building an asset or creates leverage or a leveraged income. So I'm constantly trying to plant those seeds because they'll be working anyway. Isn't that correct, Fred?
Yeah, absolutely. The security part comes from, and the leverage too. Sometimes when I hear people use the word leverage, in the early days I didn't fully understand that because I don't have a business school background. It means that my income is coming from the activities of other people. And it's not just other distributors. It is those 80% that I told you are customers. So when a customer gets their refill, in effect, they create an income for me because I get a commission. That's leverage, but it's not the picture you may have of me having a bunch of workers out there. This is so sweet in that the asset is the product user, and most of them are simply customers who want to look and feel better. And so leverage is a great word. Sometimes it's a little cold. The fact is we have created an asset. Becky and I have created an asset. This is anything exciting. When we joined this company, the year before, the whole company had done a little over $3 million in annual revenue. Okay. The year that we joined, they ended with 11.8 million in overall revenue. Okay. This year, Becky and I, in our little business, will have the equivalent of 4 to 5 million in revenue. So imagine that the two little people in Jackson, Mississippi, actually have a bigger business than LifeVantage the whole world had in 2011. That's not exciting. And I will tell you that the best time, the easiest time to create that kind of growth is now. I'm glad we joined when we did because we needed all that money they'd given us in the meantime. But if you were picking a time to drop into this industry, to drop into this company, now, those people in Georgia that I've mentioned, they did a few months ago. How whitewater rafting at that Profile Summit. And one of them just joined in March. Guys, this is August the 3rd or 4th. Now, they have created in much less time, Jill, the volume that took a while to do. Becky and I took a while to do. And by all measure, your production was record pace. And by some measure, what we did was record pace. Well, they're making us look like Ned the way they're doing it. and I'm so excited. We made a wager. I said, if you guys make it, they were going for Pro 6 after only a few months in the business. And I thought I was pretty safe in saying, look, you guys make that, I'll wear a Georgia cap at the convention in Salt Lake in October. Well, they got this look on their face, and I said, and if you don't, you're going to wear an Ole Miss cap. And I got this text from their upline, and the comment was, my people will not wear an Ole Miss cap. And darn if they won't. And guess what I'm going to be wearing in Utah? I'm going to be wearing a Georgia Bulldog cap. And since they both made it 6 and 7, I got to wear the Georgia jersey. Well, let me tell you something. Those two people added $2.5 million a year to volume for me and Becky. So don't tell them, but if they do that again, I'll wear Bulldog underwear. It doesn't matter. We're excited. Go
That's
Georgia
like a gift for
Bulldog.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, let me backtrack a little bit. So when Taylor Worre was on the line first thing, he was at the Pro 5 Summit. And Fred had mentioned different levels of this business. There's like 1 through 12. And so when you hit that level 5, the company flies you out to Salt Lake City to this Park City to overlook the mountainside, to take hold of our company, to build a vision, and to teach you to get to the next levels. So that's the event that Taylor Worre was at this morning when he jumped on our call. And that's where Gabe is too. And what Fred is referring to is a couple of our teammates qualified for this trip. And not only that, they hit these elite ranks just in these past few days. So just not Pro 5, they hit the elite ranks in record time. And they had put all these bets on, obviously there's a rivalry going on between Ole Miss and Georgia there. We won't talk about the Seminoles though, right? Yeah. So anyway, but that's a big picture. The company, and I don't even want to, what is so exciting, and I think you would agree with me, Fred, they pay us handsomely for doing the activity, for building a business, for locking arms with other amazing people on the planet, and then they give us trips on top of it, which really blew me away in the beginning. What about you, Fred? You too?
Yeah, we didn't fully know what we'd gotten into, and we just called that we're all going to and this was like in the 3rd month we were with the company. What you're watching this morning is people who are well paid, and I'm excited about what I know my check's going to be, Jill, so I cannot even imagine your excitement.
Yeah.
Talk
We're
about
very
choking
glad.
goat. I mean, you guys, and we're having, here's the message. This is not really work. We're having a ball. We're with people we enjoy, and it's not technical. I mean, you want, obviously. If you don't, here's something, I forget whether Herbert said this or not. Herbert, I hope you're still listening. Herbert's the most quotable mentor ever. And if you don't want better health, feel better and look better, it may be that your gene pool needs chlorine. I don't know if Herbert said that or not, but in other words, you've got to be a little bit crazy not to want what we have. And then if you can get paid for telling other people that, and that's all we do. I mean, we don't sell them anything. We tell them how to get it, and we are honest and say, when you buy this, I will get a commission. And so we're having a ball. Do not tell Darren that I feel that I'm overpaid. That I want Darren Henderson to know that I'm overpaid. Now, I want him to just rock along, keep sending the checks, and when you see him, tell him the people of Mississippi appreciate him.
I will. And, a couple more points is, I'm going to bank off what you said about, we have an incredible team. And I think when you get to Fred's level and above, and I love when Gabe says this, don't think about the money necessarily Fred talked about always. I mean, it's a great benefit. But think about how many people, just like Taylor talked about in the beginning, that each and every one of us has helped, has mentored, has educated, has taught, has inspired. And that's what this business is about reaching down and pulling folks up and teaching them what it takes to become a professional in this industry. And I also loved when we talked earlier, Fred, you talked about the stars are all aligned right now, right? And in addition to that, these are a couple more points, and then you can chime in and we can wrap up this section. But again, we talked about first and foremost the viability of the business, that this business model, because it took me a while to go, oh, this is just a business model. And I had a traditional business for 10 years, and it looked a certain way. It looked and felt a certain way. And this is just a different business model. It's no different. And he talked about the stability. It's a $1 trillion industry. When he went and started talking about a $1 trillion industry, that was about trends. And he talked about the treatment, research, and prevention and healthcare, and that we are in this space, this $1 trillion space of prevention. Not only that, he talked about life in general, right? And these are points to be noted from his presentation, that never before in my life, as a working adult, has something created such time freedom, health, and the funds and the resources we need to be with our families, to send my daughter to college, or, and I think when you were talking, Fred, the most impactful thing that came to my head about time was when my mother passed away, and I was able to drive down during that whole time she was sick and be by her side. And that's priceless. And the last piece you brought up, and probably the most profound, is the security piece of it. And that ties along, again, with that time freedom, that we're able to have that annuity every month, correct? And it took a while for me to go, wow, this is truly a business model that the word needs to be spread. And what I understand, it's now, this business model and what Taylor talked about, this is a $200 billion industry. With that, Fred, any last thoughts before we wrapped up, or any challenges for the folks who are watching?
Well, yeah, my challenge would be realistic. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing and setting aside the same amount of money every month that you set aside last month, are you going to have $7 million saved up to give you the kind of retirement that you want? And the answer, obviously, for most people is there's no way. In fact, most people did not save that much last month. And so that's your reality check. Now, if your reality check is what I think it is, then you've got to do something different. And Jill, if they don't do our different, my challenge is, if for some reason you don't like our challenge or our different, find something.
Yes.
Because if you do not have an asset income from rental homes or, cash in the bank, the other kinds of passive, if you don't have it, you will never be able to get off the hamster wheel. Because when you do, I don't care if you're a surgeon making $1 million, $2 million a year, when you're not in surgery, you're not in income. So that's my challenge is, be realistic. Do you have it the way you need it. And if you don't, you're the one responsible for making the change. We'll help you. And I think you've seen enough of what we do to know you can do it. I mean, anybody can do what I've done this morning. An interesting show you got here. You got a guy without his bathing suit walking around in water, and then you got a guy sitting in the back seat of his car. And hey, this is a business meeting, you know, and I'm pretty dressed up, you know, for this business meeting. So yeah, you can do it, and if you don't do it, here's the challenge: if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. And you want to do it for now, you want to do it for later, and you want to leave a legacy. That's our spirituality, is that there's something about leaving a legacy. We want to leave the world better than when we found it. We love the phone calls. I don't want to pitch here, but we get calls occasionally from someone who says, my mother, and they're crying, and we can feel the tears. My mother recognized me this morning. And you know what that means? She had not for a long time. Now, we can't say that NRF2 activation or NRF1 activation reverses Alzheimer's. But we can get off the phone and thank God that we found this and that we had the wisdom to share it with other people. And so, feel good about what we're doing, and we're paid. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you for your time and for taking the time out from your family. Thank you so much. We just love you so much. Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Take care. And with that, let's segue into, Fred talked about the leverage, the asset, the annuity, the subscription. And he didn't go into a lot of detail of what is a major driver for this opportunity. And it is, if you go back to my own personal story, my husband, Gabe, saw something. Let me go ahead and just mute Fred real quick. My husband saw something on an original ABC primetime investigative report. And at the time, we were working with the Mayo Clinic to try to put together a wellness program for them. And my husband had been approached by many things because we were in the wellness space. And he said to one of our docs, how do you know this is the real deal? How do you know this is for real? And this doctor said, well, if you go to, let's look right here. Let's go to PubMed.gov. And if you type in the product and something comes up, you're on to something. And sure enough, a couple studies dropped down. And what that became was a major driver of the business, of this business model. It takes other components to have a successful business, but it became a major driver of our business, our conviction, our belief, and knowing there was not anything else on the planet like it. And that's what drove my husband and myself, and why now there are thousands around the globe being educated on this profound science and this profound opportunity. And next on deck, to explain more about how profound our products are, is a gentleman I was honored to meet really about probably a couple months ago. I'd heard his name over and over, and I'd seen him on webinars, and I got a chance to go up to Savannah, and we had an amazing meal with him and his beautiful wife, Peggy. We had fellowship and just found out we literally work with the most amazing people on the planet. It's Dr. Neil Goodman. He's chief of pediatrics at the Southeast Georgia Health System Brunswick campus. He belongs to the Institute of Functional Medicine. He's chief of pediatrics at the Medical College of Georgia. Did I get that right, Dr.?
Well, I wish I was. I wish that was true. I am an assistant associate clinical professor of pediatrics at the Medical College of Georgia.
Wonderful. But one of the top docs in the industry, and we are truly blessed to have him on our team. I apologize for the edification mess up on those words there, but just truly blessed to have you on our team. And you add so much value and insight and inspiration on what we have in our hands. So can you tell everyone a little bit more about what you do? Could you go ahead and do a little recap on that and your positions, and also the magnitude of a major driver of our opportunity?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jill. I appreciate this opportunity to address the audience. By the way, I'm a part of that Georgia contingent, and I'm very proud to be part of that organization. We're doing very well, and really part of it is because we've got such a motivated team that wants to help people. And I think that's the driving force, is trying to, as your other guests have mentioned, it's about the science, and it's about letting people know how real this really is, and that this is not just a quick fly-by-night scheme, that there's real science behind the products. And in my daily work, which is to work with children from ages 0 to 21, I've been doing this for 33 plus years. I got to say, I initially came in quite as a skeptic, that I was not going to just, certainly didn't have the interest or plan on being a network marketer per se. I really, my focus has been to educate people and to also make the product available for people. And then I have to say, they've just come to me to ask for it. And so with that, I delved into the science, looked into the background of what we had. And with that, Jill, I guess I'd like to go into a really, while it's in depth, my job as an educator is to try to make things simple and understandable. And so I'm going to try to take apart the science for everybody, let them know what we have, let them see that what the background of why this works. And then I think that everyone will just be absolutely taken that this is just an amazing contribution to what's going to be the future of medicine. So, Jill, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to switch to my slide screen at this point and switch to my presentation. And I think hopefully that this will work. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Give me a hands up if you do. And you're seeing the screen. I appreciate it. All right. Well, listen, so this is just my start of the slide presentation. I have to reiterate what Jill said, and that, first of all, this could possibly be the most important health presentation of your life. I'm going to really try to be dramatic about this, because I have so much to claim, and just as you heard Taylor say, he's so excited about it. I am just absolutely excited about this. And I've never been as excited about something as I have been in the last 2 years that I've been associated with LifeVantage Company. Now, while I say that, I cannot make claims that these products treat, cure, or mitigate disease. But I'm going to let you connect the dots in what you see next. And I want to say that we're going to talk about 4 different facets of human health and wellness. And they involve 4 basic pillars of health: oxidative stress, the concept of mitochondrial function, the concept of the second brain, and lastly, about the blood-brain barrier. These are the things that we're going to talk about. I'm going to break these down for you. And this is what we call the core 4. And these are present in one of the products that the LifeVantage Company has recently put out, which is called the Vitality Stack. And we're going to say why each of those works. So let's talk about oxidative stress first. I think there's a lot of confusion as to what oxidative stress is. So oxidative stress, well, think about it. Obviously, it involves oxygen. And oxygen, while it's good for you, and you needed it when you were first born, you took it in your first breath of life. But really, actually, what you were breathing was only 21% oxygen. So it's mostly nitrogen, to be honest. More is toxic. And in my field of pediatrics, if you give a premature baby, too much oxygen, they actually go blind. We know it's a toxin. So the important concept I want to make here is that while we need oxygen to live, it's also the very thing that is slowly killing us. It's going to take us out in this life. Ultimately, this is what oxidative stress does to us. And a prime example would be like, if you, for example, you look at what oxygen does to metal, it oxidizes it. That's seen in the form of rust. Well, it does it to your air conditioner coils. Those are made of aluminum. It corrodes those. But your cells are rusting too. They just rust in a different way. We see it initially as wrinkles on your skin as you get older. This is due to cell damage, which is cumulative. It also leads to inflammation of your joints, inflammation of your brain, inflammation of your heart and blood vessels. Ultimately, this leads to aging, disease, and finally cell death. And this is not what we want. We want to live. So the common denominator here is something that we call free radicals. If you think about this apple, for example, that's exposed to oxygen, after it's been on the counter for a couple of minutes, it looks like this. It's brown. Well, the same thing is happening to our flesh. And the reason for this are these free radicals. So what are free radicals? Free radicals are actually activated oxygen particles that are put off by the body and are accelerated by different things that we encounter in everyday life. And so oxygen is the common denominator in this. And they have caused things such as DNA damage, which ultimately will lead to mutations in your genetic code, and finally cancer when your cells are abnormally transcribed. It's affected by smoking, air pollution, inflammation, UV light, radiation, all of the things that we encounter in our lives. And again, the common denominator here is oxygen. So let's just refer to free radical damage as the bad guys. Try to make it as simple as possible. Well, so how do we deal with this? Well, you know, when we're born, we have in this little red triangle, which I'll show you in a second, we are given God-given antioxidants. They are our primary internal antioxidants. They allow us to daily defend ourselves from this free radical damage that we're producing by the millions, day in and day out. But up to this point, we haven't known this, and we haven't known what to do about it. So what we've done is what we do on the bottom of this triangle, which is supplement in our diet. And we supplement them with things like, you know, you eat carrots and you eat kale and you take vitamin A, vitamin C, lots of different things that you do to try to help yourself. But really, they are so few in number that they really are fairly insignificant. In truth, the big guys are these three up at the top of this triangle. SOD, which stands for superoxide dismutase. I got to go back here a second. Superoxide dismutase, glutathione, and catalase. These are the three main antioxidants that our body uses to defend ourselves. And we have this in great supply when we're born, but it gets used up as we age. So again, those are the good guys. And I like to put a Superman symbol by it because, you know, we want Superman to be by our side. And really, protandem or NRF2 activation is our Superman. This is going to save the day. When the amount of free radicals in our bodies exceeds our capacity to neutralize them, that's when we suffer by oxidative stress. And that usually happens around age 20 or so. We have an imbalance at that point. We're no longer able to defend ourselves. And that's when our bodies begin to age. Some of us do age earlier than that. So oxidative stress has been implicated in over 200 diseases, maybe as many as 500. And if you go to pubmed.gov, as Jill suggested, you can look up oxidative stress and look up any one of a number of diseases, and you'll get multiple hits on this. And you'll see that oxidative stress is involved in everything. Everything essentially from Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease at the bottom of this diagram, autism, migraine headaches, OCD behavior and depression. If you look at the symbol above, talking about the heart, leads to hypertension and blood vessel damage. With regard to your joints, on the right, it talks about osteoarthritis and psoriatic arthritis. Lung is involved with asthma and allergies and so forth, and cancer. So inflammation and oxidative stress is at the heart of all these diseases. But really, in my training, what I've been trained to do for 33 plus years is to treat all these organ systems with medicine. That's what the medical degree is for. and maybe we've gotten it wrong. I've done this very well and successfully, but maybe we should be focusing on the center part of this, which is the inflammatory cycle and oxidative stress, which is causing inflammation. If we can shrink that central section there, that star-shaped thing that's red, if we can make that smaller, perhaps we can positively impact all the other organ systems. And so we do this by bringing in Superman. And Superman actually helps us to increase our cellular production of our internal antioxidants. And these are the three things that I mentioned before. SOD, superoxide dismutase, which was discovered in 1969, catalase, and glutathione. Some people even get glutathione injections to make them better. But the problem is it's inconvenient, it's very expensive, and you're tied to a physician to put an IV in your arm every week. You don't have to do that. You can make this yourself. So if you think about your chromosomes, you have 23 pairs of chromosomes, and all these little horizontal lines across the chromosomes, those are your genes. And those genes code for specific proteins and enzymes that allow you to do all of your daily functions. They code for the color of your eyes. They code for how you are perceived in the world, how your skin ages. Well, they also code for the NRF2 protein and the NRF1 protein. And those have been identified by the people who have mapped all these genes as master regulators of cell protection. I mean, this is incredible that this has been identified. If you look at this small diagram here and you look at the top right corner, you'll see a little protandem molecule. Watch that molecule as it attaches to the side of the cell. It activates some chemicals there called kinases, and that kinase actually allows the NRF2 molecule, which is the little small red bead that you see there, resting in the center of the cell. It allows it to migrate to the nucleus. And in the nucleus of the cell, it turns on all of those antioxidant enzymes, the glutathione, the superoxide dismutase, and many other inflammatory proteins and survival genes. All right, I want to say that again, survival genes. Not only are there the three things that we talked about, but there are over 400 survival genes that are turned on by this, essentially a door knock on the cell to wake it up and tell it to turn on this pathway. This is what we call NRF2 activation. When you activate that NRF2 protein, you increase your superoxide dismutase by 34%. You're able to increase your catalase by 54%. And you're able to increase that glutathione by 300% in over 120 days, essentially reducing your internal oxidative stress from free radical damage by 40% in 30 days. Guys, this is published. This is peer-reviewed. This has been studied by NIH. There are over 26 articles about this, okay? This is not new. There are thousands of NRF2 activators in the world. You eat them. These are things that you have in your diet: kale and broccoli and pomegranate juice, wine, resveratrol in wine. These are all NRF2 activators. But what we're talking about here is a combination of specific synergistic substances that are GMO and organic that have been able to be put together into a complex and brought to you to allow you to do this and help yourself. So in looking at this, your genes are not your destiny. You have 23 pair of chromosomes, but only 20% of your DNA is ever expressed. 80% of your DNA is actually dormant. But you have the way to change the way that your genes are expressed. And when you do this, this is what we call biohacking. So everyone who's using Protandim is a biohacker. This is a good thing. This is not a scary thing. This is what's scary, is you could let your body be hijacked. That's the alternative. So if you know this, you'll want to be biohacked. You don't want to be hijacked. We're hijacked every single day, 24/7, physically, through daily injury, through exposure to cancer-provoking substances, emotionally through our daily stressors of hard work and daily life, and then also biochemically through toxins, radiation, allergens, pollutants, the drugs and alcohol, even poor food choices that we choose to take into our body. When you biohack, however, you are optimizing your genetic potential. You're becoming the best version of yourself because you're turning on your own survival genes. And you're doing this with the science of nutrigenomics. This is simply using food and food compounds to interact with structures in your body and your cells and your genes to make you a better person, to heal yourself. This is absolutely amazing that we even have this available to us. And I want to make the point of a difference between supplementation versus activation. These are not supplements. These are activators. When you supplement, you're guessing. There's lack of product-specific research. You can take any vitamin you want. You do not know what it does to your genes. You just have been told that it's healthy. You don't know how much to take. You don't know why it works. There's lack of quality control. Do you really know what the end result of gene expression or overall cellular health is when you supplement? You don't. But when you are activating, you understand the science. I'm bringing that to you today. You're looking at today's breakthroughs. These are peer-reviewed and published studies, as I mentioned. They're backed in science. They've been studied by third-party, independent-funded organizations such as the Ohio State University, the Louisiana State University, and the University of Colorado Health Sciences. This has been researched by organizations not even associated with LifeVantage. And what they're looking at is the end result on your genes and your cellular health. And they're using, as I said before, the concept of synergy. Okay, so here's your synergy. Protandim NRF2. What is it? Okay, it's a combination of herbal products that are non-GMO and organic. And they include ashwagandha root, bacoba extract, green tea extract, milk thistle, and turmeric. Now listen, these things have been available for years. The ancients have used them in health, but they didn't understand why they worked. We do now. It's NRF2 activation. If you use any one of these individually, you can see by this bar graph on the left-hand side that they all have minimal effect. They do work, but in minimal effect individually. But when you put them together in a specific formulation, you get this 1,800-fold improvement in the synergy of them working together to increase NRF2 activation in your body. Okay, no other product has ever been able to do this. Now, Protandim NRF2, as I said, will lower your oxidative stress by an average of 40% in 30 days. That's everyone who has ever taken it. They did studies, and for the statistical geeks that are out there, the p-value was 0.001. That means 99.99% of people responded favorably to this and actually reduced their oxidative stress. It does that through NRF2 activation. It induces other enzymes also capable of neutralizing more than 1,000 free radicals. Normally, if you eat broccoli or kale, you're only reducing 1-to-1 ratio. You take one antioxidant and it gets rid of one free radical. You're getting rid of 1,000 free radicals with one Protandim pill, and that will last the entire enzyme cycle until the next day that you take it. And as I said before, it regulates over 400 survival genes. Essentially, this is like tuning a piano. I'm going to get to that analogy in a minute, but this is I think, a very good way to think about it. And it helps the body to repair and rejuvenate its own cells. This is also the only natural supplement that has ever been proven to extend life in mammals by 7%. This was documented by the National Institute of Aging, which is a division of the National Institute of Health in the United States. All right, so let's look at this graph. This is real detailed. It basically says that you have to drink a lot of wine, eat a lot of oranges, and eat 11 pounds of blueberries to equal the strength of one Protandim at 1 million per 1 in terms of ratio. And as I said, it reduces oxidative stress. So let's look at this graph. This is what your oxidative stress does with age. As you age from 20 to 80, without Protandim, it's a straight line up. When people take Protandim, this is the result you get. And this can be measured. And it has been measured. And this is for what the patent was filed many years ago. Your oxidative stress becomes that or equivalent to that of a person who is age 20 in everyone who takes it. This is true. This is not made up, guys. This is in the literature. Here's some other NRF2 activators. I just want to show you an example. Broccoli, kale, which contains sulforaphane, which is a NRF2 activator, gets us this much NRF2 activation. Let's look at this one. On the left-hand side, Tecfidera, dimethyl fumarate. This is a new drug that just came out in the United States. This is a big pharma drug, just recently released a few months ago. Costs $50,000 a year to use this. Look at the level it attains in NRF2 activation. Let's look at another one, bardoxolone. This was one that was done some years ago. Again, about halfway up the graph. And I want you to compare it to this now in the upper left-hand corner. This is your product. This is a LifeVantage product, the only one that exists that does this, induces NRF2 activation. Look at the levels that have been attained. And guys, this is $41 a month for US dollars. It's not $50,000. The Tecfidera has been compared to it, and they still can't beat this product, which is an organic, natural product. So I mentioned about tuning a piano. What does it mean to tune a piano? Well, you know, it means to bring it into harmony, to adjust something for precise functioning, to make it intense or effective. So if these are the keys on your piano, and every key has a purpose, and each of those keys equals one of your genes, and they each have an assigned frequency, let's zoom in on this now for a second. Let's look at this keyboard. Here's the middle C octave. This is what the frequency response looks like of those keys, nice and smooth. If Grandma bought this piano in 1969, that piano is in perfect tune. It sounds wonderful to hear those notes. But what happens when you put that piano in the attic? After 50 years, things have changed. The keys start to stick, the sound doesn't come out harmonious, and you have this. Well, this is your out-of-tune piano, and this is what happens to our body. So this is the analogy. This green graph that you see here is a map of the 400 survival genes that protandem affects. Remember now, only 3 of those are SOD, catalase, and glutathione peroxidase. Only 3 of them. We have 397 other genes that protandem affects. And these have been tuned in the presence of protandem. This is what it looks like. All right, now let's zoom in on just 63 of them. Going to get closer. These are the gene expression frequencies, meaning how often a gene is transcribed by the body in the presence of protandem. Look how beautiful this is. They're all in order, nice and green, level playing field. This is what it looks like without protandem. Before, with protandem. This is so you give someone protandem, it does this. Without it, it does this. It's out of order. It's non-harmonious. And if you look at this one is low. Look at this one is high. The ones that are high are damaging to your body. These are your survival genes. The ones that are low, like glutathione, superoxide dismutase, and catalase, they need to be brought up. And when you do that, you bring them up to the levels of where they needed to be. And everything is evened out. The high ones are brought low, and the low ones are brought high. This is how protandem works. It turns on the survival genes. Another example of a gene that's expressed that was too high is this one, PFAB4 and 5, which stands for plasma fatty acid binding proteins 4 and 5. I know this is detailed, and I'm not expecting anyone to remember this. I just want you to understand what it's doing. If you understand this and understand that the science behind this is real and proven, you'll understand what you have at your feet. If you look at this is the effect of protandem on FABP4, an 85% reduction. Well, folks, FABP4 is responsible for metabolic syndrome, calcifications of your blood vessels, and atherosclerosis, and it's brought down by 85%. This isn't even superoxide dismutase that we were talking about. It's just one of 400 other survival genes. So again, staying in tune with protandem, we're going to bring these genes back into harmony. So in the future, Grandma is going to say about her piano that she had her genome tuned by protandem. So potentially, Washington State University said that this was potentially the most therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine that they've ever seen. This is published in 2015, a prestigious university. They are not the only ones. All right, this is just absolutely stunning information. For you to hear this and see this, it's just absolutely breathtaking. And that's why I'm so passionate about it and so privileged to be able to bring this to you. Because everything that Taylor and Fred said to you about being passionate about the company and what they brought to the public to make people feel better and improve, there's no reason anyone in the world would not want to take this to improve their health. If you're breathing oxygen, you need this. I want to talk about NRF1 for a minute, mitochondrial function. It's another part of the core 4 in the vitality stack. I'm going to go a bit quicker at this point. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's where everything that generates energy takes place in your body. These are all the chemical reactions that take place in the mitochondria. They're too far to mention specifically, to just know that it does everything. You need mitochondria for your cells to live. But mitochondria also produce free radicals in the process of using energy and using food and oxygen. That's your mitochondria right there. Free radicals, remember, act like little hurricanes inside your cells. If you could picture your cell like imagine it was like a grape, and that grape you filled with thumbtacks and you shook it up, what would happen to the cell? The thumbtacks would pierce everything inside that cellular material. It would destroy the nucleus and the DNA that's in it, and it would also destroy the mitochondria. And in doing so, would reduce metabolism and energy production by the cell. So here is an example of a cell, and these are your mitochondria. Here's 3. Most cells have anywhere from 200 to 400 of these. This is what keeps the cell going. When you get rid of these, the cell dies. This cell is history, folks. It goes away. And this is how we age, and this is how we die. Essentially, that cell was being destroyed from the inside out by that hurricane, which is, as I said, due to free radical damage. So protandem NRF1 synergy, what does it do? Well, it turns on the activation of the NRF1 protein. That increases the number of mitochondria in the cell. It